Yeah, y'all, we here, truck like us. I got the good brother Crane in the building. What's going on, Crane?
Yes, man. Bless up, man, and big up yourself, bro. There,
Okay,
man.
okay, that's what's up, man. Yeah, I had to get you on the show. I've been watching your videos, keeping up what you got going on, and your videos are real interesting. So, I'm glad you're on the podcast with us today.
Yes, man. Respect, man. Thanks for the invite, man. Glad to be here, man.
Thanks,
Respect.
thanks. So yeah, before we get into the drama, I just wanted to ask you, like, what made you started to work at Schneider?
Well, I was doing some research first, and then I got my CDL in Florida, and they weren't hiring anybody outside Florida, so I had to come to South Carolina, change my address, change my license, and I applied to them first, and they responded, and so I decided, yeah, it seemed to be an okay company from the outside, and they were big on safety and so on, so that's why I went there.
Okay. Yeah, and I seen that you made a video that there was a lot of micromanagement going on, and it led you to have, like, a bitter feeling. Like, can you explain that, like how things went from like sweet to bitter?
Yeah, the thing is, it's all about personality. You have people who can deal with the micromanaging, and then you have some people just can't deal with it. I can't deal with that. You tell me to do something, is either I'm gonna do it, and if I can do it, and if I can't do it, I'll tell you. But if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability. I don't want nobody over my head with no whip, you know.
Right.
And Schneider was like, whenever anything happens, they tend to wanna talk as if they wanna fire you. They kind of use that, and I
Right.
didn't like it. Didn't like
Right.
it.
So working there, like, what was some of, like, the petty, like, violations or like calls like they would approach you with?
All right, what happens is that these Schneider trucks have a lot of sensors.
Mm-hmm.
Most mega carriers do, from what I understand. Hard braking, um, road stability, speed sensor checking if you're over speeding, and that happens like if you're going down a downhill or a slope or so. So whenever these things happen, it throws a thing called critical events, and then you get a message to call in to their safety department.
Okay, yeah, because that can be annoying sometime. Like, and did they have inward cameras?
No, but they are planning to get that, and that was another thing why I came to Schneider, because I found that Prime and Swift has inward facing cameras, and I didn't feel like I wanted to deal with that. So that is why, another reason why I came to Schneider.
Yeah, because I also heard you mention too, like working under stress and feeling like just bothered by them, intimidation with the word termination and things of
Right.
that sort, and
Yes. Yes.
while you're
Yes.
driving, that's one of the worst things that you can work under. You don't want to work under conditions like that, feeling worried about losing your job and
Exactly. Exactly.
you know
And then they have these messages that they send out every Monday about things that happened the past week in our week, where whether drivers got terminated or had any accidents. And there's always something that they said that this driver did that and he got termed. I don't like that. It's intimidating. I don't need to know who got fired. I don't give a shit about that.
right,
you
right,
know.
right,
And
right,
and as
right.
I say, if you call into the safety, their attitude too. They talk to you as if you're a high school student. And I'm
Mm,
an adult, I'm 49 years old. And then the issue is, if I've been there for 10 plus months, 10 months, 2 weeks, and I had probably I had about two heartbreaking events, two road stability events, and then the Friday before I left, I had two the speed check critical event thing, which I didn't know about.
right,
And none of these critical events happened based on when I wasn't like going to run in the back of anybody. I was like, at one point I was bobtailing, and I pressed the brake a bit too hard. The trailer was not on it, so the bobtail responded a bit quicker. So
right, right, right.
it threw that hard brake. I had to call in, and they were lecturing me as if I was gonna get in an accident. Nobody was in front of me. Nobody was behind me. There was
But
another incident where,
sometimes a
yeah,
hard break, you can be avoiding an accident.
exactly. But none of these incidents that I'm telling you about, I was not following too close to anybody, so there was no need for them to lecture me. Whenever these events, critical events happen, they can see 10 seconds before the incident and 10 seconds after. So I'm
Right.
thinking, if I throw a hard break and you look at it and see that, oh, it was not a case that he was going to have an accident. He must have just stepped on the brake a bit too hard. Um, there. I don't see why you need to call me or
Right.
I need to call you.
Right.
And then let's say it's a protocol that I have to call in. Don't deal with me the same way you're gonna deal with somebody who's gonna run in the back of somebody. That
Right.
is what
Right.
I had a problem, but I didn't have much of it.
Right.
So what really tipped me off though is that a friend of mine, a very hardworking lady, they fired her, for those parking on the on ramp entering into a rest area after driving for over 10 hours that night. She drives night,
Right.
and and they saw that she came out, go look to see if there was parking available in the rest area. There were no parking in the rest area. She came back into her truck, sat in her driver's seat, was there for a little while. She said about an hour, went back to see if parking was available, went and parked. Mind you, the policy that I was made to understand is that you're not supposed to park on ramps and off ramps. But this was
Right.
the on ramp into a way station, into a rest area. It's not on the side of the road. It's
Right.
not. So I'm thinking that what about discretion? You know, they don't use discretion.
Right.
So I'm looking at, okay, I
Like
had
everyone is treated like a number.
exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. Yeah.
And you know what you can do to avoid that? Well, what I do is I use trucker path. So when I'm going over the road, everything is from truck stop to truck stop, en route to my towards my destination. So I'm always, every time I'm en route, I'm always going to the next truck stop that's going towards my destination. So I don't like ever have to park up on a ramp or a rest area, or some guys might park up at a way station, or sometimes if I can't find, if I'm not close to a truck stop, I'll park at the nearest Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, or like a mall plaza, because sometimes you can drive on the main road and find like plazas where there's like malls and big parking, movie theater and stuff like that. So that's how I drive, so I don't ever have to park up on a ramp, you know.
Yeah. Well, as I say, it's a policy that you don't park on ramps and off ramps, but I believe that some discretion could have been used there because it's not on the side of the road. It's not an on ramp to an interstate or an off ramp from an interstate or anything like that. It's the on
Right.
ramp going into a rest area, and they must have seen that she had driven most of her clock, so she could go anywhere else other
Right,
than to
right,
wait.
right, right. They could have
Yeah,
worked something out instead of just getting rid of a good driver like that.
exactly.
Right. Now
You
I see
know.
where you're coming from. What I wanted to ask you too, how was like your day-to-day interaction with your fleet manager? Like
Well,
was he
well, to tell
hostile?
you the truth, no, to tell you the truth, it's a female, a very nice woman. When I came in the Monday and told her I'm going to leave, she didn't really want me to leave. She was explaining to me that, well, it would be her responsibility to fire me if that was the case. And, she actually tried to talk me out of leaving. She even went as far as to, she made me talk to her supervisor, but I had made up my mind. I'm thinking that not only did they fire my friend Erica, they also destroyed her career because they whatever they did on her doc report left her unemployable, and I believe that's not cool. So the guy that I spoke to about my two incident prior that Friday about the overspeeding, he was basically you threatening my job that Friday also.
Wow.
I was going down I-75 heading into Georgia. And that's a long basically a little grade. You began running 65 there, and because it's a slight downgrade, very slight, you don't recognize the truck goes into coast mode and it might go up to 70, 71. So that happened. I
Right.
was maintaining at least two truck lengths from the vehicle in front of me, and the vehicle and the truck coasted up to 70 71. I remember seeing that. I remember applying my engine brake, bringing it back to 75, and did the rest of the journey that way. So he sent a message was sent because it triggered that critical event, overspeeding. And when he called and he was speaking to me about it, at the end of the conversation, when I was saying to him that, listen, I was driving unsafe. I was maintaining proper following distance. I was looking around. I was watching my mirror, so I didn't see at the time that it went up to 71. But when I caught it, I adjusted. Yeah, the NIT said, well, if you do that again, if you continue doing that, it's gonna be problems. So I said to him, what do you mean problems? He said, you're gonna lose your job. So
Oh
I said,
man.
okay, all right, sir. So right away I decided that's it. I'm gonna drop this load, and I'm just done, because in the back of my head, if I get fired at Schneider for something as trivial as that, because I see that as trivial, it's not that I'm speeding and I'm up on the back of somebody. You can see that I caught that I was up to 70 71. You can see that I was maintaining more than enough following distance. You can see all of these things. So what if it should happen again? I'm not
Right.
perfect. I can't be watching all these things at the same time. I can be looking far and wide, and the truck coast and go back up to 70 miles per hour and trigger the same event again. What are you gonna do? Fire me and then destroy my career? I'm not gonna sit and wait on that, bro.
Right. No,
Yeah,
that's a big thing. And you mentioned DAC report too, because a lot of drivers have to be careful working with mega companies when when you leave, especially when you leave the company and you're not seeing eye to eye, they can leave like frivolous claims on your DAC report, like, to ruin your next
exactly,
options.
exactly. And that is what I was afraid of. So I said, you know what? I did 10 plus months. I know in myself that I try to be a very careful and safe driver at all times. I'm not perfect, but I'm not going to stay here and then allow Schneider to fire me for something like that, and then now my doc report is messed up, and then I can't get a job where and when I want.
Right, right. And to let drivers know you can fight back against a false claim on your DAC report with the CRA, Consumer Reporting Agency, higher rights.
Hmm.
So, you can
Hmm.
research that up, and draft up a letter and state your claim too, because that's another thing too. You want to keep that clean from when you're going to company to company.
But the thing is, you can do all of that, but all of that takes time. What do you do in the meantime as a
Right,
professional truck driver?
right.
So it's best to try to avoid that happening.
Right, right, right. And leaving the company is another thing too, because you want to leave in the right way. Because I'm hearing sometimes you don't even want to give them a 2 weeks notice. Like you just want to give them another bullshit reason. You got a family emergency. Like you have to like be crafty the way you leave these companies, because they can
Yeah,
be vindictive and leave malicious claims on your DAC report and say this and
yeah,
that. Make sure the truck is clean.
yeah,
Even have your own pre-trip or like post-trip inspection sheet. Make sure you check everything off, take pictures, send it, and send an email to the recruiter, to your fleet manager. Like you really
yeah,
have to cover your ass, because you don't want them to like take their anger out on you for leaving the company. And you don't even really want to tell them why you're leaving. You just want to keep it
yeah,
as a surprise to them. Drop their truck off wherever they need it to be dropped off, and tell them you got a family emergency, because these
yeah.
companies, they can play against you.
Yeah, 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 and their word is very damaging.
Right.
So I just told them that, listen, I'm not happy driving the trucks anymore. I'm always tense. I'm stressed. So it doesn't make any sense for me right now. I want to be happy driving, man.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I
And
want to
and
be
to
happy
me, I
driving.
look at that like they're moving backwards. Like to even have your driver work under fear, like your mind has to be clear on the road. So I'm like, Snyder is
Yeah,
like
man.
the way their work style and their work culture is like, not up to par, when it comes to dealing with the company drivers.
Well, the person I spoke to, that my supervisor, my driver leader, made me speak to, said it's not the intention for the safety persons to to relate that way. But I just told her, well, the damage is already done. This is how I feel, and
Hmm.
yeah, as I say, it's all depends on personality. I just don't like people being overbearing, you know.
No, and I'm glad you stepped up and stood your ground so they can know, hopefully, to maybe that person to deal with the next driver a little bit better and like take consideration and value the driver. Because
Yeah.
some guys are desperate, some guys just don't have the knowledge or, fear of thinking they can't get another job, so they put up with the bullshit. But I'm glad that, you stood your ground and told her like you will not tolerate disrespect.
Right. Yeah, man. Yes, and that's in my nature, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always the guinea pig, and I'm always the freedom fighter.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
I see how you moving. What another thing I want to ask you too. So now that you ended that chapter with Schneider, how do you go about looking for another company? Like how do
All
you
right.
research?
I'll tell you the funny thing. That
Mhm.
my friend that I told you that Schneider had let go and messed up her DAC report. She applied to several companies, and she called me back and told me that one of the companies told her that her career is basically over based on what was on her DAC report. So
Mm.
she was so distraught and didn't know what to do. She have her kids, she have her rent, she have her bills. So I said to her, "Oh Lord, the only next best thing I can think of is go to Super Ego, and that controversial
Well, you
company
you know
there."
another thing, I don't mean to cut you. Another thing is too, she can work for like a small company because only these big mega companies really go off the DAT report and take the DAT report as law. You could work with a small company that has like 20 trucks, 30 trucks,
Oh,
50 trucks, working with small owner operators or small carriers. They'll take you on because they're
oh,
not looking at that DAC report as the end
okay,
all be all. I mean, that's mainly like for mega companies with like 1,000 trucks or more. They might take that into consideration, like written in stone. But those smaller companies, that's not as so. So
well,
her career is never over for parking on an on ramp for um a parking station or a rest area like that. That's
yeah.
unheard of. So she has a career. What she should do is apply to the smaller companies because sometimes you make even more money working with the smaller company.
I see. I let her know, but for now, she's over there with Super Ego,
Hmm.
and I spoke to her this morning. As a matter of fact, when I left that evening, I was speaking to her, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna call your recruiter, and I'm gonna come up. I'm gonna come and join you, and try and help to make things work, because
Right,
I'm not one to tell somebody to do something that I wouldn't do.
right,
So I'm over here with Super Ego right now, and I'm right now I'm putting together a spreadsheet as it relates to how to manage a lease truck. Because a lot of drivers fail, I believe, because they don't do their accounting properly.
right,
So I've been helping her, knowing her rates per mile, and knowing her fuel mileage, and usage, and so on, and what kind of loads to take in order to be profitable. And she's happy right now. We don't know how things is gonna pan out after a month or so, because as I say, this company is a very controversial company. A lot of people say bad things about the company, but nothing beats a trial
right. And
than a
and
failure.
and that's a good thing that you mentioned too, because even though super ego does, I mean, I do hear some, like in the beginning I heard good stories. Super ego, they'll give you miles, and they do such and such so you can run, and you'll always make money. Then later on I started hearing some drivers not getting paid on time or not getting paid fully. So but you never know. Every situation is different, and your story might be different with them. But
Yeah,
always be on
exactly.
the always be on the
Be
lookout,
on the
and
lookout.
take
Yeah, yeah,
and take those stories in
yeah,
consideration based on how you
yeah,
feel.
yeah. That's true. Don't just take you when somebody says something, you accept what you're told, but you don't use that to judge. But you just be aware. You know,
Right,
to know is to be wise. Knowledge
right,
is
right.
wisdom. Yeah,
So
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 you
so
use
how,
that.
how was it approaching super ego? Like was it easy on board, or
Man,
what
I
was the
call them,
process?
yeah, man, I call them that same evening, man, and told them, listen. I referred a friend there. Her name is so and so, and I'm thinking to come. And
Mhm.
they said, okay, just get here, and we'll get you to a hotel. And that's it. I just left the gates of Schneider, called a Uber, and that same night I reached Chicago about some minutes after 10. They sent a Uber to pick me up at the airport, and they put me up in a hotel, and yeah, and that's it. But I'm now in Fresno, California. I got a truck, a 2026 Freightliner, 50 something thousand miles, and I'm here trying to see if I can, get going again.
Okay, so what you hauling over there? The dry van or the reefer?
Drive on.
Okay, because the reefer pays some good money too. You should look into that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
So what I was gonna ask you too, like so like, what's the pay over there like? Like you did
I
like.
don't know. It's a lease program, so
Mm-hmm.
it all depends on the loads that you pick, the loads that they make available, your deductions, how you fuel, all of these things. It's a known operator thing.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But
And with the lease program, you want to make sure the contract is on the up and up. Make sure if it's a walk away, it's a true walk away. Because
uh,
sometimes they might say walk away, and you're still
well,
held liable for certain things.
yeah, that's another side of the story. But I won't preempt. Just watch my channel.
Yeah, yeah.
Some
No,
good things
yeah.
coming.
Yeah. We'll definitely
Yeah,
keep up on that,
yeah,
with
yeah,
that too. And
yeah.
so what made you think lease purchase is the right thing right now?
Well, I don't really I didn't have to come here. I did a research on another company, a Jamaican guy that I met on the road,
Yeah.
and I was going to go there, but because I said my friend is over here, I don't want to be just telling her to do this, do that. So that is why I decided I'm gonna come. I'm gonna be here to show her that what I'm telling her is the same tools that I'm gonna use to
Right.
to to to, to try and do good here. So right now she's feeling even more confident that I came in. You
Right.
know?
Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah, so she has that, you know,
yeah. So
that
when I tell her, listen, you need to do so and so, you need to check this, or you need to calculate that, she is even more confident because I'll be over here doing the same thing. So if she fails, I'm gonna fail. If I fail, she'll fail. Like, maybe.
right.
Yeah.
Now there's plenty options out there too. Did they ask you to fill out an application on the driver post?
At Super Ego.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I did an application.
Because that driver post, a lot of drivers got to be careful with that, because with driver posts, if you even update your experience, like some of them might look at it like in a bad way that you're doing fraud on your application. So to my drivers, when you fill out an application on driver posts, because most of these mega companies use driver posts, 10th Street, and it's like one software for all these companies. And any
Mm.
little thing you do on your application, they'll say, oh, why did you change the year that you were driving this, or why did you change the company? So just be very careful, because a lot of them are trying to get you in like I gotcha moments. So just be on
Oh.
it up and up,
Mm.
and it records everything that you put in. So it records the data. So just be very careful on how you input all that information on driver posts. That's mainly for like the mega companies. Some of the
Yes,
smaller
yes.
companies use it too. So that's another thing
Yeah.
that they're trying to
Yeah.
like fight drivers against. But I wanted to know, like, at Schneider, what was like one of the craziest petty violations that you ever got there? Like you said, oh man, this is bullshit.
I think it's the last straw there.
Hmm.
I think that is the most petty of all because I was coming down the 75 in Tennessee.
Yeah.
I'm two truck lengths from the vehicle in front, cruising at 75. The truck got into coast mode, and I recognized and I applied the engine brake to bring it back down to 65, and then I'm being lectured about that and then being basically threatened. I think that's the most stupid thing, you know. Uh,
Right. Now,
I
if you could
yeah.
say something to that guy or to that manager right now that you're gone and that you're leveling up, like what would you say to him, knowing that he lost a good driver? Like what message would you put out there?
Uh, I would say to him, listen, treat everybody according to their sins. You know,
Right,
it's not a one side fits all thing, you know? And
right,
and you must use discretion.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, because to me, he lost a good driver. Because I'm watching your videos. I seen what you've been putting up, and you do your thing. You dropping off the loads. You're on time. You drive safe.
Yeah,
Respectful to the receiver and the shipper. The
yeah,
truck is
man.
clean, and you're dropping good gems. So I'm like,
Yeah,
damn, like
man.
you're like
Yes,
they
man.
got rid of Crane. Like, what's going on? I mean,
Yeah,
not really
man.
get rid of you, but like, damn,
Uh,
like like
I,
being
I got rid
disrespectful.
of myself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
man. I believe in being professional. You must take pride in your driving. It's not about just turning the steering.
right,
I don't wear flip flops to going to shippers.
right.
If I'm coming out to do my pre-trip or post-trip, I put my shoes on. I drive in my slippers. But if I'm coming out to do my post-trip or pre-trip or anything relating to the truck, I put on my shoes. I'm at Super Ego right now and I'm wearing my safety vest. And I
Right,
told my friend, remain professional.
right,
Not because it's a free for all thing over here. Be that difference. You
right.
know? Yeah.
No, and I've seen people that are successful with the lease purchase because I know there's so many bullshit stories, fucked up stories about lease purchase. But I have met a few drivers who, like you said, if you manage your finance properly, work hard,
Mhm.
and do what you're supposed to do, it is possible. Because I've met some drivers who have their trucks who paid off a lease purchase and everything was successful. Believe it or not, I met a guy at Prime who did it and some other companies who did it because
Yeah, a
before.
lot of drivers do it.
Yeah,
I know
because
that.
if you follow the YouTube, you'll think no one never did it.
Yeah, man, they'll do it. There are drivers out there that do it, and there are drivers who continue to do it. But the bottom thing is, if you listen, between Tuesday and Wednesday, I was at the Super Ego OC. A lot of guys coming in, and
Right.
I'm speaking to them. A
Yeah.
lot. If you have 10 guys, 8 of these guys don't know nothing about rate per mile.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know nothing about fuel mileage. They don't know nothing about fixed costs. They don't know nothing about variable costs. They don't know nothing about these things. They don't know nothing about fuel cards. They don't know nothing about these things. So all they look at, this load is paying X dollars to go X miles. And if the number on the load is big, they believe it's a good load.
Right.
So,
No, those are
uh,
guys. Yeah, they don't know their bottom line, their cost per mile
exactly.
to run. Like
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's like
Yeah,
a setup for failure. You have to study
exactly.
those things. You have to know those
Yeah,
things, and you have to know the market too. Dry van
exactly.
is
Yeah, there's a
cool.
lot of things. Yeah.
Right. Reefer right now, reefer and flatbed is like at making the most money on the spot market. But like dry van is up and down. And when it comes to the drought, dry van normally has the longest drought. But there's drivers making good money with dry van too. And if you're with a company that has contract freight, then you're not worried about the spot market. And that's then you're in a
Yeah,
different league a little bit. But you just have to know what your equipment type will what revenue will it make, and
yeah,
what equipment types pay the most, because step deck pays more than a little bit
yeah,
more than flatbed. Reefer makes more money, but then you got to do those northwest areas a little bit more, like
yeah.
Colorado and Wisconsin, Minnesota, coming down south, northeast. You just got to know the market, know the equipment, and a lot of drivers are not educated on that. Like you said, they just pick up the load and go, and if it has a big number, they think they're doing good.
But I believe money can be made at Super Ego. My friend that is over here, she started her first load midday Saturday. So today, this morning, she picked up a load. This would be our sixth day. And
Right.
her gross, after picking up this load, her gross is 7,600. And she only spent 1,200 and change on fuel.
Mm,
So for 6 days on our first for our first 6 days, and she's grossing 7,600 and only spent 1,200 because I told her to use the Trucker Part app to find cheap fuel. You
Right.
know?
That's the best app. I love Trucker
Yeah.
Path saved my life because I use that
Right.
for
Right.
my navigation because I don't use the
Yeah.
Garmin. I use the Garmin for like bird's eye view to see where I'm at on
Hmm.
the state lines and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Then maybe sometimes if I'm near a receiver and the Garmin might not can get me on a proper street, then I'll use the Google Maps if
Yeah,
I'm
man.
like, you know, like
Truck
two and a
Apart,
half.
Truck Apart is a very good app. I came across it one night. I was using the Schneider app to navigate, and it messed me up. And I was searching, and I found the Truck Apart. And when I did the free trial, I realized, yo, this is a good app. So I just paid for a month, a year. I just paid for a year.
That's what I did too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that thing
So
say you'll
I've been
find
using it.
yo Crane, you'll find a truck. You can be in the mountains and it'll send you to a mom and pop truck stop. Any truck,
Yeah,
you will never be without
yeah,
a truck
man.
stop with Trucker Path.
Yeah, man. Yes, man. Real
Love that
talk,
app.
bro. Yeah,
Love
man.
that
Real
app.
talk. Yeah, man. It's great, man. And that's that. I told her to download it, and she's using it. She's finding fuel. She loves to go to our Walmart. The Walmart is on the Trucker Part app. Yeah, it's a great app, and I would recommend using it.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. When it comes to parking, you don't always have to park at a truck stop. Sometimes too, I park in back of the. If it's late at night, you can park it back at the Walmart or the
A lot
Home
of
Depot.
You say a lot of these Walmarts and Home Depots, no, they don't want truckers there no more, because some of these truckers are goddamn nasty, man.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I know.
Nasty.
Yeah,
They
you.
they piss in the bottles,
Yeah.
and they just put it on the trash at the side of their driver side door, and they drive away with it, leaving it that way, right
Right,
there.
right,
Nobody's gonna make people come and park on their property and leave it like that. So
right.
I'm seeing a little challenge. I have experienced a little challenges parking on plazas and Walmarts because of things like that.
Yeah, because there's always a plaza, or you can do a Home
Yeah,
Depot, Lowe's, or
yeah,
any
yeah.
like big. Once you're on those main roads, you can see those stores, and it's always like, especially down south, everything is like a plaza. So, you know, if you
Mm,
can't get to a truck stop, you know, if it's late at night, you can definitely. There must be a parking lot you can park into just for a couple of hours and then leave early in the morning. You know, it's not like you know you're parking there long term or anything.
yeah,
But
right.
yeah, but the trucker path is good. That's what I always
Yeah,
use.
man. It's a good app. It's a lovely app. Very good app. Very, very good app.
Yep. So before we go, I wanted to ask you, like, for new drivers, like looking for a company, and you know, what warnings would you get them, you know, when they're looking towards to work for a mega company?
Well, going to a mega company, you have to be prepared to deal with the checks and balances. But
Mhm.
the thing is, if you can survive a mega company for 6 months and can leave without any kind of issues, you'll be set. You know, you will be on you'll be on a rocket.
Right.
So you know, I will still recommend drivers coming out of CDS school to go to Schneider, because Schneider on your resume after 6 months, it's a good thing.
Right.
Yeah, and if you have the type of personality to deal with the micromanaging, you know, you can have a good career. But the thing is, also with Schneider, is that the pay is not great in the early. You know,
Right.
I was getting 44 cents per mile plus after 6 months I start getting 5 cents for fuel mileage performance. So that was like 49 cents.
So how
You
much would
don't
you
get.
average in like weekly net?
Well, net per week, I was taking home sometimes 1,000, sometimes 11, sometimes 950. Depends on what happens. So sometimes you get a live load, it messes up your week. You
Right.
know, so it fluctuates from 850 to I think the most I ever got on a check was 1180.
Oh, okay. And that was
Yeah,
the
and
first company coming into America.
yeah, that's the first company I drove for coming into America.
But now, but
The thing is, I'll say again to people who are coming out, it's not what you earn, it's what you save.
right,
Because
that's a fact.
I've saved a lot of that. But
Right.
you know, yeah.
That's a
So
fact. No, and
yeah,
then now you have an opportunity to make even more money because now like
yeah.
this company
God
where you're
willing.
at now, you know, they give miles, and
Yeah,
then
that
it's
well. They might just very well get rid of me, because right now, you know, I'm an outspoken person. If
hmm
things are not right, I'm gonna call it out. And right now, I see that this company, they lack communication between departments, and I've been telling them that from yesterday. They have made me gotten they got me upset a couple times. So, these people are tend to be vindictive people, so they might as well just want to get rid of me anyway. So,
What about the language barrier? Because like it's a Russian owned company, so like how are you
yeah,
dealing with the language barrier?
I'm not having much challenges with them so far with the language. I think they understand. They speak good enough in English, but I don't know if my patois sometimes might be a bit challenging for them. I
Yeah,
don't know, but
yeah.
they have issues when it comes to department communication. You have to tell this guy the same thing. To the next hour, another guy call. You have to tell him that again, and I easily get annoyed for things like that.
Right. Yeah, because communication, if it's a
Mhm.
lack of communication, that can cause stress on your behalf. Especially, you don't even want that over the road, neither. And
Exactly.
it's not a good sign, starting off.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
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 But
Yeah.
man, I enjoy you coming to the show, Crane, and I know you're
Yeah,
gonna
man.
have some
Great,
good
man.
more content to put out there. I want everybody to check out Crane's vlog on
Yeah, man.
YouTube.
Yes, man.
Brother got some good content, so definitely need to get you on the show in the future again.
No problem, bro. No problem, man. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.